I feel like we're living in the second part of F. Scott Fitzgerald's This Side of Paradise. Have you read it? Have you read This Side of Paradise? The first part of This Side of Paradise is titled The Romantic Egotist, uh, which definitionally means, the protagonist in the book, Amory Blaine, he sees the world as a backdrop to his own emotional development. And I think a lot of young artists, particularly men, we see the world as this afterthought as we courageously fight through it. And every success and every failure is through this prism of us being on a stage, and we're the most important thing as we navigate those things. And that's not an indictment. I think it's extremely important for every young man to go through that. The trick is in your 30s and to figure out, okay, I have things to offer. I'm a person of value, but I am not the center of the universe, and I am not center stage. There are other people for whom I owe respect to, and their presence is as important as mine. If you're a young artist, it takes a little time to figure that out. And those of us that don't, we struggle and we suffer. um, the second part of F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Side of Paradise is called The Education of a Personage. And it feels like that's where we're at as elder millennials right now. There was this, I've seen videos that talk about the 2010s and sort of millennial optimism or hipster, what is it? I think it's called Millennial Optimism. And if you look at the music of the time and the culture and the art and the movies, I belong to you, you belong to me. Hey, a lot of that shit. That there was this sort of like the world's fucked, but like as long as we're optimistic, it'll be okay. It's like one notch down from the boomer sort of like yuppie, like greed is good. If you just slap on your slacks and put on a blazer and head to work, everything's gonna be all right. And the children of that, which is what elder millennials are, we're like, yeah, I mean that it's a little. Is it hot in here? Is there a fire? Okay, there's a fire in the building, but this room's okay. It's kind of mentality that we had. And I think what we're currently in the year 2026 is two things. One, and elder millennials are now like, shit, that fire is getting pretty close. And Gen Z and younger, they're like, oh, you guys are boned. You have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. We'll believe in nothing. And not nothing, but their sense of sort of collectivism and hope is slightly diminished. So it's an interesting thing to read that book, which was written in the 1920s, or even I think the 1910s. It was the first half of the book is before World War One. They go to World War One, they come back, and they're fucking horrified, and everything's just like, fuck, this fucking blows. What the fuck? I haven't read it in a long time, but that's what I generally remember. And it's an interesting parallel, for the 2010s, the 1910s, the 2010s being this moment of like growth and optimism and romantic idealism, romantic egotism. And then World War One happens, and then they're like, oh, wait a minute, fuck. The lost generation. A lot of those young men went to war, and at the time, yes, it was just young men. Women weren't going to fight that war back then, and many of them died. And I think what I see in a lot of my contemporaries is this death of that optimism, of that millennial whimsy, that millennial optimism, for many good reasons. You can only take so many hits before you develop calluses. And what I've always forced myself to default to is maintaining that optimism while being someone who has experienced a lot of trauma, and witnessed and seen a lot of loss, both in my life and in others. I've always thought, and it reminds me of a quote from Conan O'Brien where he says he hates cynicism. It's his most undesirable trait. I think if for no other reason than to spite negativity and those who have perpetuated negativity, I remain optimistic, to spite those and to fight against that negativity. I don't have an articulate way of saying that. I just think it's more novel to be hopeful than it is to be nihilistic, for no other reason than to be what us elder millennials often tend to be, or wanted to be and used to be, which is individuals, and very individualistic, much like Nick Cage in Blue Velvet. This is my snakeskin jacket. It is a representation of my individuality and belief and personal freedom. So it's interesting, again, just historically to look at, and that's the other thing too, like we think our problems are so novel and new. It's like Palestine and fascism and like, dude. It happens repeatedly throughout history, commonly. Doesn't mean it's good, doesn't mean we're supposed to accept it, but I think people currently are, and maybe the younger generations too, that there's this existential, we've never faced this big of a threat before. I don't know. There's quite a few textbooks and history tombs I could pick up and point you to show similar periods in history where totalitarianism, existentialism, and war and violence and subjugation are the soup du jour. So I don't know. It's like, it's interesting to see history through the prism of patterns, and I think it's helpful to look at history through the prism of patterns. Because we're so quick to assume the worst, which we've been programmed to by our lived experiences, but I don't know, there's something cheeky in being hopeful. And that doesn't mean being blindly, idiotically optimistic, like if someone's holding a gun to your head, well, I believe the great Lord will make that bullet go far away. I think it's more about, well, what's the use in being negative and nihilistic? You know the outcome. You've decided that there is but one outcome. And what is the journey between now and that finale? Versus saying, yeah, it's not great. It's pretty shitty. It's also comics. Like, when like famous comics are just like, yeah, everything's fucked. It's fucked. What are we going to do? It's fucked. It's like, okay, yeah, that's our job to identify when things are fucked. But then like, what's your spin on it? That's why I love Bill Hicks. Bill Hicks played with the delight. He was delighted by how fucked things were. It was like, G16, what's that one do? Cool. What's that? It's like, you got to play with it. You got to have fun with the absurdity of it. I belong to you. You belong to me. Hey! Versus it's all fucked. Nothing matters. Let's be bitter and go scream in Washington Square Park all day. Blah. Yes. We are on the other side of paradise now. The romanticism of the egotist may be waning, and now it's the education of a personage, which is F. Scott Fitzgerald's very pompous way, I think, of saying, your first heartbreak is what gives you your identity in many ways. Or all your heartbreaks are what give you your identity. To quote Captain Kirk, I need my pain. You want to tell me to go left when I should have gone right? Bones, I need my pain. You don't believe in this con man, Cybok? Star Trek 5. I think Gen Z doesn't understand. And I'm not targeting them specifically. I'm just saying in general, if you're a person who looks at the world around you and your inclination is to say, well, it's fucked. Fuck it. Well, everything's fucked. It's screwed up. And that's if you can only stop there with that train of thought, I think you're missing out on something special. It doesn't mean it's going to be great. It's going to be good or like cozy. It will be good. It may not be cozy. And I think that's something that when 9/11 was your first day of high school and you saw people on 81st and I wasn't in Pennsylvania. I was in 81st and West End in 10th grade going to English class, and they evacuated us, and we went out to Riverside Park, and we watched people marching up Riverside Drive, covered head to toe in white dust from the World Trade Center collapsing on them and them barely escaping. We knew that our lives were going to be interesting. But even in that moment, we made jokes. And maybe that was just our own stupidity, but it's how we coped. We sat there on the plaza. I went to the Calhoun School, this private school on the Upper West Side. We sat there on the plaza joking about Lucada Al-Tenants. That's what we called Al-Qaeda. We're like, man, yeah, we got to be careful, man. You got probably gonna be Lucada Al-Tenants on the 3 train going home. And we made light of it. A terrorist attack 60 blocks from our school. And we were cracking jokes. So I don't know. I would encourage the younger generation or not even the younger generation, my fellow millennials, my formerly romantic egotists, to embrace that former whimsy we used to have in the 2010s to navigate the future to come. And it's not a promise that things are going to be okay. They might not be, by the metric of how we formerly measured things to be okay. But as I've said in previous videos, we're the adults in the room, and we got to step up. And we can't just shit the bed anytime things go bad. Because that's a beautiful book, This Side of Paradise. And I really view it as a parallel to what my generation has gone through, is going through, and will go through. But I'm not going to give up on those beautiful times that I had. Because some bad shit's going down now. Bad shit was going down then. And I think we were just younger and had a different programming than the current generations with regards to dealing with calamity. Because cynicism's cliche. Nihilism's kind of boring. Hope? Aspiration? Ooh. That's dangerous. Just a little bit. It's a little dangerous to be hopeful, huh? Because then you can be disappointed. Can't be disappointed if you're not hoping for nothing. That's cool. Oh, that's cringe to be hopeful. Ugh, that's cringe. But what do I know? Maybe I'm wrong.